Well, the chamber has changed dramatically from not that many members to what we're around 300 members now, and well represented in everything we do. Back then, it was hard to get anybody to be involved in anything, you know. They had businesses to run, and it was very hard to get volunteers. Today, they have all kinds of volunteers. It's great, but that's how it had to grow, and people want to be involved now.
When I came in, I met a lot of the people that were just leaving the chamber that had pretty much started it, because I came in basically around 2004 to start doing things in the chamber. So I learned a lot from them. I learned a lot of do's and don'ts. And I think that what I've seen is just a vast improvement of what a chamber can do for a community. Not just the businesses, but for the community.
I actually went on the village council and became president right about the same time. And so I kind of married the two together, the village and some of their functions or what they could have. For example, we used to have a Christmas parade, all right? And the Christmas parade was always on a Saturday during the day, and it wasn't very well attended. So I had heard about another chamber that did a lighted Christmas parade. And so I gave him a call and I said, how did you do this? How did you light up the floats, the vehicles, and all that? And this is a long time ago, and that's when we had cigarette lighters. And they said, okay, you plugged this extension cord into the cigarette lighter, and then it lit up a few lights, not a whole lot. Well, the board approved it, okay, and they were a little skeptical insurance-wise because it's at night. Do we leave the lights on, you know, the street lights, do we leave them on or do we take them off? We had a lot of discussion on what to do. Ended up, we decided to leave them on and people still could see the lighted floats. That was the first year, okay? I mean, I never knew what we created until the night of that first parade. We set up at the Eamon Center, and there's a parking lot behind the Eamon Center and one out in front on the corner. And the floats all lined up there. And you know, we'd go into the Eamon Center to get our places and, you know, to have the staff, if you will, direct who's gonna do where, be where, or do what. And we determined that there was a better route. And so we started assembling at the middle school there, Blanche Sims, and then we started coming down Flint Street heading towards M24. We turned down Anderson before and work our way then north. And so that was a much better route.
The chamber had started it, and it got to be where the chamber decided they wanted to break away from it because it was getting to be too big. They needed money. That group started what we have now is the Holly Jolly Folly. They did it at different car dealerships, and at Gowling, I think, had to be 2007 or 8 was when Gowling's first started hosting it, and we've hosted it at Gowling since then. So that's how I got involved with it, through Gowling's and through the fact is of that at that time I was pretty good with publicity. Not with computers, because then it was all paper. So I volunteered and started with them then, and we've evolved it to what we believe is Michigan's biggest lighted Christmas parade. The Holly Jolly Folly, we believe, is one of the biggest attended events in North Oakland County. I have a great committee. We've always had a great committee, but as everything, it's evolved where, like you said, that more and more people want to be a part of it. You know, we get people from all over coming to be part of it, and but it was because the chamber initiated it, and then people have followed up with it since then to do what the chamber started.
Kids grow up with it, you know, and it's to the point where they're parents now and their kids are in it. It's a legacy that I started that I'm very proud of.
It started at the Orion Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors in September 1993. They were looking for a chairman for the beautification committee, and nobody volunteered, and so I finally volunteered, but I didn't have flowers hanging from every lamppost in mine. I sincerely wanted to have a Veterans Memorial, and when I told them that, they hemmed and hawed because they still needed somebody for the beautification committee, but on the other hand, they thought it was a good idea, so we went ahead. And of course, they named me chairman, naturally. If you raise your hand, you're chairman.
Yeah, I was president of the chamber at the time, and Dr. Master Mateo, Joe Master Mateo, was on our board. And he came up with the idea of having a war memorial, not a veterans memorial. That was original. And he said, see if you can't find some property along M24, because we want to have it in a place. We looked over at Canterbury Village, and back then Stan Aldrich, who is no longer with us, offered to give us some land to have it, but it was just not the right place. So I talked to Orion Township, their board, and there was a property where the Veterans Memorial is right now was available. And I said, why doesn't the township buy it and lease it to us for the Veterans Memorial, the War Memorial? And they said, okay. So they actually owned it, and I don't know if they ever deeded it back to the Veterans Memorial or that's just the way it is. And then we had all the fundraising that we did to make it what it is now. It's one of the most beautiful Veterans Park anywhere.
In June of 1994, what was it, D-Day, the 50th anniversary of D-Day. Joanne Van Tassel volunteered to help, and we organized a get-together at Children's Park in the village, and a handful of people showed interest, and they came down, and that was the beginning, the real beginning of the whole thing.
I was supervisor at the time, serving on the chamber board. When Dr. Master Mateo comes up with an idea of a war memorial, as he called it, if you check the records, the official name is the Orion War Memorial. And it was later, through public use, called the Veterans Memorial. And so that's the known name, that's not the official name. There were veterans on the board. There were 2 members from the chamber, and then there were some citizens at large. And then they had to look for a site. So the agreement that we now have, the township owns the land where the memorial is. They own the land where the business is. The Veterans Memorial owns everything there at the Veterans Memorial, including the water lines and the drainage lines that are underneath the ground that you can't see, and all the stuff that you can see. And when the lease runs out, we'll own the building next door. And in order to make the deal, the Veterans Memorial paid $25,000 towards the down payment. So
we'll get a lot of visitors, and we get people from out of town that, you know, were raised here, went to school here, moved away. When they come back, the first place they come is back to that memorial.
Well, I'm proud to have been part of that, and there's a wall there with the signatures of the founders, and my name's on it. And I didn't know that was going to happen. Joe said, "Hey, we got you on the wall." And I said, "What do you mean you got me on the wall?" He said, "Go take a look." So I'm very proud of the fact that my name is on it, that I was one of the founders.
Well, the Chamber of Commerce contacted me. I have done a few signs around town. The first sign that I ever did was for the music mill down in the village. And I don't know how, it's been quite a few years, so I don't remember how they heard of me now, but they contacted me and asked me if I would do some drawings and work up a design for them. They told me what they had in mind, and so we just went from there. And first sign that we put up was on the north end of town off of Lapeer Road. It says Wednesday, August 16th, 1989 on the newspaper article. And so that's approximately when it was put up. It says it has been 18 months from the start to completion for a new sign, and it's near St. Alfred's Episcopal Church. I've been doing some studying on what's the best materials for wood signs, and California redwood proved to be the longest lasting material. And fortunately it was available from the lumberyard in Rochester. So that's what I went with, and it proved to stand up really well. It doesn't rot. You know, maybe a good 10 years or more before I repainted it the next time. I made 5 altogether.
I had no idea. Where were they located?
Well, there's 3. There was one in the north end of town on Lapeer Road, and one on the south end near between Silver Bell and Dutton, halfway between there, and then the other one on Brown Road in Joslin. But on 2 of them, leaving town on the backside, the chamber decided later to add something that says "Return safely" or "In cares." So that made 2 more signs that I had to erect and put on the backside of those. Well, I'm just really happy to have been chosen to do them. I've always enjoyed living here in Lake Orion. We've been here about 45 years. And yeah, I've always been proud to be the one that did them. I always could never go past them without looking over at them. So there's my sign. But yeah, I was real happy to be the one that got to do them.